It's finally here! Are you all ready for the big finale?
Dee da do do ba la la da lu da 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 be ba da da boo la la da 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 di lu lu la li da lu la la da lo ba li la lu la li la lu la li la 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 ba di da da la la ba da la li la lu la 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 li la 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 ba da 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 li li ba lu la 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 li ba li la lu la la da da do be be boo ba 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 da di da lu ba di la 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 ba li la 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 la
It's BvG!
This podcast after these episodes is gonna get a Dairy Queen sponsor.
We better at least get a free coupon for like some blizzards, I would hope.
Yeah. We won't even get a blizzard. Like, have yourself a burger. Oh yeah. All right.
That's even the point.
Sure.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final round. What an interesting journey it's been for this gauntlet. Like, I feel like we've been doing this for like 2 months now.
I know. It feels like forever, but it's been like a good forever. Not like a, oh my God, please let this finish. But like a, what's coming next? I'm looking forward to like figuring out who's gonna win what.
Well, and also like just this saga of climbing up the ladder of the gauntlet to see who can beat who and who will be the two final contestants to go head to head. Which like it's kind of like one of the contestants. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And another one, I'm like, really? You made it? All right.
Yeah, everybody loves an underdog.
I suppose, or
an
underdog hot dog.
Yes, that's right.
So, quick, before we jump into it, though, so I want to do a rundown of the gauntlet of who's been like knocked out and where we are. So, Scott,
let's do some highlights of some upsets for sure. I'd be interested. I'm really interested to know. Once this is out there, I want to know from our listeners who they were surprised about after they listened through it, and like the upsets of like, are you kidding me? I can't believe blank won over blank.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see in the comments, and because it's fast food, it's restaurants, it's subjective stuff, so I get that there'll be like some dissenting opinions of like, oh wow, I can't believe you all let like, I don't know, which got smacked down so easily, or how did Arby's get beaten by Domino's or something? Like, I'm curious. That's part of the fun of what we're doing, is seeing what other folks have to say.
Yep.
So before we get into it, Scott, how are you doing?
Good. It's good. It's a nice, lightly like raining while it's sunny kind of day right now. The sun's peeking out as I speak, actually. I harness the power of the sun.
Wow. What's that?
Yeah.
Is that from something? Isn't that a song or a Capri Sun?
That's actually what I'm holding, is a Capri Sun in my hand right now. I harness the power of the sun. It's probably
solar waves.
No, I think you're right. I think that's a Capri Sun thing, like harnessing the power of or maybe Sunny Delight, which
no, that's it. It is. It has to be Sunny Delight.
It was never a delight. That drink has never been a delight.
And never. I recall as a kid being like, wow, Sunny D. But I had some finally like years ago, and I was like, ew, this doesn't even taste like orange juice. It's orange juice, but not orange juice. And compared to like Tropicana, I always wanted to shove a straw in an orange because of like, I think
picture.
Yeah, there's something about it.
Definitely.
It looks all like fun and cartoony. I want to suck the juice out of an orange. Which if I did that, it'd be like there's a bunch of like pulp and like
it's just pulp and seeds jamming into the straw.
Yeah, exactly. There's no juice in here.
You'd never get anything. But yeah, like I said, doing well down here. My daughter's been great. She's napping super hard right now, so that's a pleasure. Not a whole lot of news coming out of my area of Georgia right now.
Have you had any
consistent
good food this week? So we're on the same. We're doing this gauntlet. What have you eaten this week that you're like, that was a good lunch or that was a good dinner?
Oh well, it's not going to help my argument, but so yesterday was my brother-in-law's. I call him my brother because we're basically family now. Was Lauren's younger brother, if that's confusing, the middle child.
Younger brother.
Yes. She has two younger brothers. The older of the two just commissioned into the Army as a second lieutenant. So we were at the ceremony yesterday. As an after party, my mother-in-law hosted a bunch of the family at their house, and she got Chick-Fil-A catering. So
what did you have? Tell me.
Oh man, it was just so it was a whole massive tray of nuggets, a tray of chicken minis,
Okay.
2 trays of their mac and cheese.
Wait, so you went to the dwarf house to get this stuff then?
No. You can get it at the it's at any catering. Like if you just get catering from any Chick-fil-A, they'll have this stuff.
No kidding. They have mac and cheese.
Yeah.
You can go a Chick-fil-A down the street and cater it up, and they'd have mac and cheese for you.
Should be, yeah. I mean, it worked in this case.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We also had. Now this is new. Here's a fun, not even secret menu, but it's something that they literally don't put on the menu. It's not. You cannot order it outside of catering. It's a chill and grill sub or chilled grilled chicken sub, spicy sub. I don't remember how they called it, but let's just say I still have I managed to walk out with 5 extra pieces that I intend to have for the next couple of days.
There you go.
It was really good.
Jeez, dude. So Chick-fil-A catering, dang it, that's like the nuclear option that we've never dropped, and it makes me feel like we've kind of just, I don't know. We're guys, we're gonna try our best to like give a fighting chance to Dairy Queen to hear them out. It's just Chick-fil-A is armed to the teeth with like advantages. It's like, dang, this is why it's so successful on the quality.
You'll hear as you've heard getting up to this episode, that Chick-fil-A has pretty much just climbed through this whole bracket with relative ease.
It's basically uncontested. The only time I feel like I ever had a real throwdown was with Zaxby's. That's it.
Yeah, and so that would have been the last episode where you would have heard probably the best arguments against Chick-fil-A, as well as, you know, most of the arguments for it. We've covered it pretty thoroughly, but yeah, like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, it was really great. As far as good food goes, like everything else, you know, we do a lot of cooking at the house. I cook as much as I can. Lauren does a lot of cooking for me.
I saw those cookies she was baking up for like preparing for your daughter's birthday, and I was like,
oh yeah,
oh man, that ice looks so good.
Did you see the photo of the cake she made?
Yes, I did. It looks really good. What flavor is that?
It was vanilla, but she like made her own homemade buttercream icing that tasted great. Like everything was like, I mean, I will admit I think the cake was just like Betty Crocker, like from the box yellow cake, but it tastes great. So I'm not going to fault it.
No. Betty, I feel like there are some things in the grocery store where folks are like, oh, it's I don't know, Stouffer's lasagna, and it's like, bro, like it's still fine. Like it's not like
it tastes really good.
Especially the Betty Crocker stuff. That stuff is capable. Like, I mean, in the right hands, like even in like normie hands, like myself making a cake, I'm like, this still tastes really good. Which is more props to Betty Crocker, where it's like, well done, good product.
Good job, Betty.
Good job, Betty. I can't recall. Has she been canceled? Is she one of those mascots where it's like, like
with everything that's been going on? I don't think so. I can't remember what's the image of. I mean, Little Debbie is definitely just like a brunette white girl with pigtails. I think. I feel like I'm confusing her with Wendy.
She's just a name. There's no pictures.
Yeah, I think Betty's just the name. I don't think there's. It's like a red spoon with white lettering that says Betty Crocker.
Yeah, you know that. I'm looking at it right now. I didn't even notice the spoon in the image. It's some subtle like branding right there with an image.
Yeah, spoon, food, cake, spoon.
Apparently, there are these Betty Crocker like cake cups where you can like put the mixings in a cup and put it in the microwave, and it'll make you a little cake in a cup.
Yeah. Actually, I've tried some of those.
Any good?
Oh yeah, they're really good. And you can honestly do it where you do like no bake cake mix, which is just you basically just add milk or water into a mug and just give yourself some of the cake mix, or brownie mix is really popular. We've done this before too. And you just swirl it up with just the Betty Crocker or whatever brand brownie mix and some like warm milk in a cup. And it's just like this delicious batter treat. You're just eating some no egg, no bake batter, and it's awesome.
So I'll edit this out of the podcast, or we can keep it in if you want to. But it's a bit of a something I'm reading. I had a Twitter open on my other monitor, so I just glanced over real fast, and I saw Genghis Khan trending on Twitter, and I'm like, what's going on? And people are laughing because I guess there's this movement to cancel Genghis Khan on Twitter, which is like, what are you talking about? He's dead. Like, so I was looking for the...
He didn't have a Twitter.
Yeah, he didn't have a Twitter. Here's the thing. I found the, I think what I believe is to be the original tweet that started this up. Some person named Sai Priya saying, Genghis Khan did it to Central Asia what Islamic invaders did to India, maybe worse. He single-handedly killed 11% of the world population at the time. It's someone to glorify him as a hero conqueror. That's your personal choice, but objectively Genghis Khan was a barbarian. So like, I guess people are going on talking about his war crimes where, like, I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of like, why even bring this up? Like, yeah, he was like a complete like conqueror, but like, there's a certain point with history when you look back on it, you have to grade on the curve, where it's like, oh yeah, everyone was terrible. Everyone was terrible. Why are we acting surprised about this? Like, oh, Genghis Khan he destroyed places. Yeah, we know. Like, we know. What's the point? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, the thing is, like, you got to look at. I mean, you have to look at all of history through a special lens. You have to grade it on a curve, like you said, but like there's a lens you kind of got to follow, because I'm like, if you follow everything that Genghis Khan did and all the territory that he amassed, that just led to like other movements being able to make progress like afterward. Like, honestly, if it hadn't been like Genghis Khan did so much work that I want to say enabled Alexander the Great to gain certain momentum that he may not have had.
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Or the other way around?
Genghis Khan came after Alex.
Okay, so sorry. Maybe it's the other way around. But either way, I'm like, all that having been done paved way for other things to happen. And so I'm like, there's certain modernizations that probably wouldn't have occurred for certain areas that, like, had this not happened. So I'm like, it was almost a necessary evil to some lens of truth. But also, I will say my major point I'm getting to, as far as looking at it through a specific lens, is I follow the fact that, like, it's without some of the conquering that happened by, like, these people, the Genghises and the Alexanders, Alexander the Great was also he was a domination, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say he did anything that much better or greater than Genghis Khan at the time. He was just running over people. But that's established pathways that enabled, like, truthfully, like, Christianity wouldn't have had nearly as decent of a foothold anywhere to spread its, peaceful messages at the time, had there not been, like, the possibility of reaching into those areas because of the conquering that had occurred beforehand. Like, it wouldn't have happened.
It's one of those things where, like, when the dust settles, it's like, yeah, well, that's just how things played out. And there are some outcomes that are positive, some that are, lots of people paid the price along the way, whether they were the ones who were opposing it with armies or just innocent bystanders. And yeah, I mean, like, there's no doubt, like, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, the Romans, all of them had so much blood on their hands, all of them, and they're okay with it. That was the norm. Like, oh, yeah, it's war, it's conquest. It was might makes right. So it's funny though, because I'm looking through the replies of this person who made the original tweet about, Genghis Khan's pretty crazy, what he did, and folks are like, yeah, personally, I don't think Genghis Khan should be allowed a platform until he apologizes and educates himself on what he's done. Somebody else saying, what do you expect me to do about this? Somebody else saying, I have not once seen anyone remotely glorify Genghis Khan. And then somebody saying, pretty sure he's dead, so I don't understand the purpose of this. So yeah, it's like, what's the point? Like, yeah, it's like 500 years from now, folks are like, yeah, we should cancel Hitler. And it's like, what are you talking about? He's dead. We all know this. Like, we all know he was evil and that they did awful things. What are you trying to say? Like, if you're trying to enlighten people how terrible Genghis was, then yeah, I get it. Like, there's a story about how like Genghis sent like one of his emissaries to like the Middle East, and this was the Middle East that, if I'm correct, was the era where it was like super prosperous and educated and advanced, the kind of like the light of the world when medieval Europe was like going down the tubes.
Yeah.
And Genghis sent an emissary. Some Saudi or Middle Eastern king was like, he cut off the head of the emissary and shaved the beards off the other guys, which is like a huge insult. You just don't do that. And sent them back to Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan sent another emissary to like, hey, so we should probably talk. Same thing happened again. And then Genghis Khan wrote back a letter just saying, I'm coming for you. And that's it. And apparently there's a letter that the Mongolians wrote to the Vatican, where they were like, hey, so it turns out that because the Mongolian philosophy was, if you're under the sky, you belong to the Mongolians. You just don't know it yet. And there's a letter that's still in the Vatican, apparently, that the Mongolians wrote to the Vatican saying, so yeah, we're coming for you. Like, you're under our sky, so let's you'll be conquered here soon enough. Which they collapsed before they got there. But long story short, Mongolians showed up to the Middle East. They completely devastated it because the Middle Eastern folks are like, well, these Mongolians, they're horses, so we'll just hide in our castles, like we'll beat them with sieges or whatever. And then the Mongolians are like, hey, so we're bringing our Chinese contractors who actually are really good at siege warfare. And the Middle Eastern folks are like, oh, darn it. They got completely stomped. They got completely stomped. And around this time, this is around the time when the Christians were having the Crusades with the Middle East. And the Christians heard about this, and they're like, it's God. Like, it's God's armies that are taking care of the Islamic folks. And in reality, it's like, nope, it's the Mongolians just ruffle stomping their way through the Middle East. And then guess what? They come for the Christians too if they could, which they kind of did for like a hot minute, but then they collapsed.
Yeah.
You want to know what happened? Here, real fast. Basically, the Mongolians had this bizarre rule that stopped them from advancing into Europe because their leader died. And they had to go back to Mongolia, to their sacred grounds, to vote for a new one. And it's like, man, they were on the doorsteps of Poland. It was like almost GG.
Yeah, golly.
So sorry, I just wanted to talk about that real fast.
No, that's cool. So that wraps up how my day's been going.
Good.
How about you? About you?
So in the same vein of you, raining outside, starting to slow down a bit. The sun's also starting to peek through the clouds. I've been... I watched Treasure Planet this morning when I was doing some morning emails.
Nice.
Which
I haven't seen that in a while.
It's good. It's good and it's not good, but it's more good than not good, if it makes any sense. The moments, the things that it's good at, it's really good at. The things that it's bad at, it's like oof. And it's a film that like it. Man, it was a complete failure at the box office. It almost tanked Disney animation. It was rough.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw it, I think even whenever that came out, however old I was at the time, do you recall the year?
2000 and, let me Google it. Treasure Planet, 2002.
Okay, so middle school. I think even when that came out, I'm like, I think I remember feeling the same way. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But I think even then, like, maybe I was just too old at that point for a little bit of the humor that was in it, because I love this story of Treasure Island. It's a great story.
It's good. It's classic.
Yeah, I mean, I've read the actual book. I've seen like all the film adaptations of it. It's almost always, no matter who does it, it's almost always entertaining. But I will say, for Treasure Planet, I thought it was really cool, but I want to say the robot side.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I completely agree. When I was watching it today, because I think the robot was voiced by, I believe, Martin Short. You control F.
Yeah, that sounds right. I can kind of hear it in my head now because I could never get it out of my brain.
Martin Short was Ben the robot, who was just so out of left field because up to that point, it's like the tone of the movie was a bit more serious, and I know that Disney was kind of going through this weird like personality like shift where they're like, oh, we're done with the Renaissance, we're gonna do things that are a bit more edgy, and like Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Tarzan. And it's like, this is kind of drifting away from the formula you established during the 90s. And I think the big thing that really knocked them out was like the advent of Pixar, and just not Pixar was unstoppable. Like people would go, who cares about Disney? Look at this Pixar company. Look at Monsters Inc., Bugs Life, Ratatouille. I mean, the people don't really quite realize that the march of success from Toy Story all the way to, I'd say, about like Toy Story 3 was like just insane. It was a winning streak that put Pixar on the top, like to the point where no one could touch them really. And that's why Disney bought them. They're just like, well, if we can't beat them, buy them. Which really worked out for them in the long run too. But yeah, I Treasure Planet was like, I can see how kids might be like, yeah, it's too serious, it's too dark. I don't know. As an adult, I watch it, I'm like, oh, I like it. Like the relationship, the entire thing about like, and I know that's the entire point of Treasure Planet is about a boy with no father and a pirate who finds a soft spot in his heart for a young boy who's looking for a pop and trading him. And I'm like, that's really cool. That's a great story. Only for the boy to discover, oh, this pirate who I look up to as my dad. Oh my gosh, he's evil. Like he's the villain. And that's such a good plot point. I love that. So good. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, but I mean, like they added the robot for the kids because it was still Disney, so they're still aiming for they still needed something to bring in the younger demographic, because I'll tell you what, if the kids didn't get into it, which they didn't really, then they would never be able to merchandise toys off of it.
Which I mean, which is kind of weird though, because like even then, if you take away the Martin Short robot, I'm like, even if you're aiming for an older audience, I don't think they're gonna want like Jim Hawkins action figures. So,
well, I can remember them. I mean, they tried, because I can remember, like, I didn't buy it because I didn't like the movie enough, and also I was in middle school, so my toy phase was beginning to peter out. But I can remember seeing like the Jim Hawkins character with his super cool flying surfboardy thing.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I can remember seeing that toy, and I was like, oh, that seems fun. But I think that's just it. Like the movie without the robot is a little too dark for some of the kids that would want to buy the toy. They wouldn't like grasp all the concepts. So they threw in Ben the robot to help with the kids, but I don't think the kids liked Ben the robot.
You know what gets me is the movie Atlantis, which like I think Treasure Planet has more compelling characters than Atlantis. And I like Atlantis. I think it's fine. I don't think it's great, but I think it's fine. It gets a little bit boring. I see how kids can also be like not boring, but I can see how kids also the same. I think Atlantis is a bit over the heads of kids with like the political aspect of it, the exploitation. But that being said, I remember seeing the big submarine from Atlantis.
Yeah.
Because I actually started putting on Atlantis, and I watched like I'd say 1/3 of it before I stepped away to do some other work. And I got to the scene with the big submarine being chased by that Leviathan creature. And I'm like, man, those are some really cool designs. And also, this might be a fun fact that I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. But in the movie, like Atlantis, they say cigarettes. And you see like girls' cleavage. And it's like, okay, this is more on the side of like an older audience to enjoy versus kids, where it's like, I don't know, Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast, if it makes any sense. Okay, I have to be careful what I'm saying. I'm not saying that kids can't enjoy mature stuff, and I'm not saying older audiences can't enjoy things that stray or that are more on the children's spectrum. I don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't think Atlantis was specifically aimed at the kids. I think, let me say it better than this. I think Atlantis was actually aimed at the kids who grew up with Aladdin. You know, like the kids that watched Aladdin at that time loved Aladdin.
That's a good point.
But now they're older, so let's see if we can make a movie for those same kids.
That's a good point.
So we can have the little more grittier storyline and the cigarettes and the cartoon boobs. Well, the cleavage, not the actual boobs, obviously. Cartoon cleavage. But yeah, I think they might have been trying to get that same demographic again. Like, oh, you know what? They're getting older, so we should get older. and it just doesn't always work out. I actually thought Atlantis was really cool. I personally really liked it because I think they actually spoke to the things that I preferred, not necessarily cigarettes, because they weren't marketing cigarettes.
Oh, no.
But they were, and they did achieve the fact that I thought the female lead character in that movie was hot.
Oh yeah,
I was like, "Sup, girl?"
Kita, yeah. It's funny because people talk about like the age differences, where it's like the age of like Aladdin and Jasmine, or Princess or Aurora and Prince Philip or whatever, and then someone's like, "Yeah, well, Kita from Atlantis is like 10,000 years older than Milo because she was there when Atlantis like sank." And it's like, "Oh wow, so she's essentially immortal." And they're like, "That's a pretty big age gap."
It's less weird when the girl's older.
Yeah, right. No, that's more acceptable, I guess. But especially if it's 10,000 years old. Real fast, one last thing, then we can move on. But in Treasure Planet, Treasure Planet has one of the scariest deaths I've ever seen in a movie. And there's two parts that I kind of cracked up. So have you ever seen Interstellar?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Remember the scene at the end where the guy goes through the black hole?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in Treasure Planet, there's a scene where that one rock guy, like his rope snaps and he falls into a black hole and he gets sucked away. So I want to take this scene from Interstellar where that one astronaut's flying through the black hole and have it instead be Mr. Arrow, the character from Treasure Planet, like going through the black hole. But also,
oh jeez,
what else? There's that one scene where that one crab guy or that spider guy is fighting Jim Hawkins, and the gravity turns off on the ship, and I love it because the spider guy is like, "I'm going to get you," and then he like got pushed ever so slightly out of the way, and he's like, "Ah!" As he's like floating into space, and I'm like, "Oh, that's terrifying," because homeboy, like, it's not gonna be a quick death. You're just gonna be floating in space for a bit until you starve, or I'd imagine not have oxygen. I don't know how that works, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm not really sure with that particular movie. I wasn't really sure how the oxygen was working, considering they are flying on like open air vessels in the middle of space.
That bothered me where they're like, "Here's our advanced spaceship boat." And then there's a scene where they're like, "How do we tie ourselves down so a black hole doesn't become a problem?" Oh, tie the rope. It's like, okay. But it's part of the charm. They're trying to build a universe, no pun intended. Yeah. And that's fine. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about
the final glad you're doing so well.
Yes, thank you. I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, so back to the actual reason we're meeting today. The final showdown, the big finale of our fast food bracket.
Yep, here we are.
Who are our contenders today?
It is Dairy Queen versus Chick-Fil-A. So the queen versus the king.
Oh, yes. I'm going to need all my feminists to jump on board here. I'm going to argue on the side of the queen today. I've been pushing that queen right on up these stairs for several episodes now, so I must continue to do her justice.
All right, I'll take Chick-fil-A then. So I win and you lose. All right.
Oh, I hope it's not that easy.
All right. Do you want to start things off?
I mean, ladies first. So yeah, I suppose I should. We're both gentlemen here. Okay, Dairy Queen. As our wonderful listeners would know, we have, for both sides, I feel like we've probably just about exhausted some of these arguments. For, like I said, for both sides. But Dairy Queen, I gotta say, Dairy Queen, first and foremost, it's the desserts. I mean, dairy's in the name. You know the sweet girl because she is so sweet. Dairy Queen desserts are just no contest. The blizzards are, again, like they are their own thing. Like everybody imitates the blizzard because that's what started it. Like that is the first time you really started like thinking about swirling like candy into your soft serve ice cream, and it's just fantastic. They've got your dilly bars, they've got your amazing, super awesome like pre-order ice cream cakes that just are phenomenal. Like their dessert list is extensive and it's fantastic. And their food, like their hot food, like you've got chicken options. I've had their grilled chicken sandwich, and it's really good. I really enjoyed it. We talked about, when we argued Dairy Queen against the last whoever it was, we talked about their hot options. They're solid. They aren't going to blow your mind necessarily every visit. At certain Dairy Queens, you might even get a bitter experience than you would at a different one.
A bitter experience.
I know. You might get a better experience at one than the other, but that's just the way it goes.
Did you say better or bitter?
I said bitter first.
Bitter and better. Okay.
But I kind of also meant better. I think I just said it stupid. You might get a bitter experience, and then another place you're going to get a better one. But in any case, what I'm getting at is that it's a pretty solid across the board. Like you agreed with me when we did it the last time. Their burgers were good. They didn't necessarily blow your skirt up, but they tasted really good. Their fries were where they kind of hurt. But I think fries is a side dish. You don't have to have fries to have a nice meal. It's just like there's other options. You can get something different if you don't want fries. That's fries. You know what I mean? But yes, so you want a burger? You can't go to Chick-fil-A if you want a burger. You got to go somewhere else. Why not go to Dairy Queen where you're going to get yourself a solid burger and you can follow it up with an amazing dessert? So that's going to be my beginning argument. I'll wrap up there for now. You may go, sir.
Chick-fil-A is just across the board high quality because you can go there knowing I'm going to get myself a great sandwich, or I can have a nice milkshake to go with it, some really good French fries, quality service. You can count on it. And if there are any mistakes, you better believe they're going to try their best to make up for it. There's a level of quality that I'm willing to pay for when I go to Chick-fil-A. I'm like, no, I'm fine paying like $2, $3, maybe even $4 extra compared to things like McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, where their business strategy is more on the quantity level. Like you're gonna get more food, or I say quantity, also like financial as well. You're trying to save money. Here's a little small burger and a 4 for $4 deal from Wendy's, or here's 99 cents chicken nuggets. You get 8 of them from Burger King, which is like, that makes you wonder, like, what are they putting in these nuggets? Well, how cheap is this food? Is this even chicken, or is it mostly corn? I've been told that there's actually a fair amount of corn in chicken nuggets, but not for Chick-fil-A. When you bite into their, dude, let me tell you, let me paint a beautiful picture that you've lived recently, where you're at like you said, your family did the catering with the Chick-fil-A stuff, and that you had a nugget tray. Now, I feel like there are a few moments in life that it's like you see the sight of something and a tear drops from your eye.
Yes.
Gandalf and the Rohirrim arriving at Helm's Deep.
See, I always picture that single tear, like it's always the tear that I remember is the one of the Native American having one tear drop down his face when somebody like threw garbage on the ground. It's not the same emotion, but that I can't help but visualize it. So I was like, oh, you're talking about that Native American tear. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one single tear drops down your cheek. So that's how I feel whenever I see a chicken nugget tray from Chick-fil-A, where it's like, oh, it's going to be a good day. Like there's 100 nuggets on a tray with all kinds of wonderful sauce. I can just take little tongs and put them on my plate and just nibble at these things. I mean, I by a long shot, Chick-fil-A's nuggets are superior to everything else in the entire like the main fast food chains across the board. Like there might be I think there's been a rise of more niche like fast food places like Culver's or whatever. I believe is a pretty big chicken place.
Is Culver's into the chicken? I've only been like once ever.
Oh, there's been a rise of more like, oh, we're regional, but we're starting to grow and make a name for ourselves, and we're more quality than quantity. And I'm like, okay, that's some competition for Chick-fil-A, but for the mainstream, like the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, the Wendy's, the Dairy Queens, like their food will not hold a candle to Chick-fil-A when it comes to quality. That's just the truth. The only thing that can possibly put up a good fight against Chick-fil-A are Dairy Queen's like dairy items, their sweets. And I'm just gonna tell you right now, dude. There's no point in fighting. You know that the hot food for Dairy Queen won't hold a candle to Chick-fil-A. It just isn't gonna happen. I'm being real.
Were you pausing for me to agree? Because I'm not going to yet.
Well, if I brought out a plate where it's like, hey Scott, come over for lunch. I got a hot meal from Chick-fil-A and a hot meal from Dairy Queen. So I put on the plate some burger and some gross fries and a soda, and I gave it to you. And I'm like, here's your Dairy Queen meal. But then you see me take this juicy Chick-fil-A sandwich out of the sandwich bag that's got nice tinfoil to keep it hot. I'm actually, my mouth's watering from thinking about this. I'm that hungry. And then I take the fries out. They slide across the plate, some honey mustard or some buffalo sauce, the variety of sauces. Also Chick-fil-A, top notch. And then I got that Chick-fil-A ice in my drink. You know, it was maybe a sweet tea or an Arnold Palmer with lemonade mixed in too. And I know I'm going to have a really good, satisfying meal. Oh, I can't wait. I'll look at your food. I'm like, there's a reason why I gave you Dairy Queen.
Apparently you hate me. You're just a bad friend.
Both.
I'm going to give them something that I hate. Chlamydia. No, so, okay. It's Dairy Queen is a hard sell when you think of hot food, like hot food to Chick-fil-A. I mean, you can't get a burger at Chick-fil-A. If you're down for a burger, if that's something you're interested in for lunch, even it doesn't matter how good Chick-fil-A is, you're not going to go there.
I don't get that. What's the point? Like, I can't get a taco from Chick-fil-A. I mean, that's not a point off the board for Chick-fil-A. Or I can't get a nice juicy steak from Chick-fil-A. It's like I can't get my my teeth cleaned at Chick-fil-A or something. I don't know. It's like
I'm just saying. I'm just. It's a valid thing. Like there isn't a beef option at Chick-fil-A. I get it. It's not in the name. It's not beef fillet. Like it's not filet mignon. But I'm like, it's just one of those things. Like if it's just an option that they don't have. Like if you go to Dairy Queen and you have a group of you and one person's like, no, I don't eat beef. Well, that's okay. You can still get it. You can get chicken at Dairy Queen. But if a bunch of people are going to go get some lunch and they're like, oh, let's go to Chick-fil-A. But somebody's kind of like, oh, I'm not really into chicken. I know that sounds weird, but I'm like, that person exists. I'm like, I'm not down for chicken, whatever it may be. I'm like, what are you going to get? Like you can get like one of their side salads. That's about it. I'm just saying, like, I mean, at least with Dairy Queen, you can get either type of protein that you may desire. You can get a solid burger, or you can get a solid little chicken sandwich from Dairy Queen.
No, yeah, I'm completely okay with. Gosh, who cares? I mean, the Chick-fil-A specializes in chicken. It's gonna be fantastic. It's some of the best in the industry. Versus, I'd rather get two okay things versus one really good thing.
You can.
You're the kind of guy who probably likes a lot of okay pizza versus having a little bit of really good pizza.
Well, I mean, if it's gonna help me feel full and content.
Full of lies.
full of lies. Full of food.
I'll have you know, I'm looking through the dwarf menu right now, the Dwarf House menu.
Has that been canceled?
What, the Dwarf House?
Yeah.
Is that offensive to dwarves? You're right. Maybe it will someday.
Maybe. They're going to get rid of that classic tiny little door at the front.
The little person house is what they'll call it.
I cannot tell you how many times I've walked through that door.
Me too. It's fun. I'm a little hobbit.
It's a hobbit hole. Okay, so I made my argument. There's an option. You have a little bit more option at Dairy Queen. Is that a fair thing to say? I get it. Chick-fil-A is chicken. You're not going to go to Chick-fil-A unless you're interested in chicken.
Wait. Hold the phone. You said there's more options with what? Just the beef and chicken, and that's it?
Well, that's the part of the options. It's something that you can get at Dairy Queen that you can't get at Chick-fil-A.
All right, well, sit
get
down.
You can get nuggets and tenders at Dairy Queen. I'm just saying, like, it's something that Dairy Queen has that Chick-fil-A doesn't.
Okay,
It's
fine.
a point to make.
They've got burgers. Cool. You know what Chick-fil-A has, though? You got those Greek yogurt parfaits. You got fruit cups. You got big old bowls of chicken noodle soup. Sometimes you've got those the spicy soup with like it's like more of a Mexican soup. You got those wonderful side salads. You got like mac and cheese. You got kale salad. You've got wonderful grilled chicken sandwiches. You got their spiced chicken sandwiches. Their nuggets. Their tenders. Their Cool Wraps. Their grilled nuggets. Dude, I'm sorry, but like
I'm just hearing chicken over and over again, though.
It's Chick-fil-A. What do you expect?
I'm not saying. I even said in the beginning, I'm like, you go to Chick-fil-A when you want chicken. I get it.
Good gracious me, dude. One of their large cookies and cream milkshake. Guess how many calories are in that?
An ass ton.
Oh yeah, 610 calories. Good Lord.
I gotta say,
worth every sip.
Well, I love. Okay, so I do love a good milkshake. I do. It's always been one of my like weaknesses because I do have a solid sweet tooth, and I love a milkshake
From Chick-fil-A.
No, not necessarily
From Chick-fil-A.
But every time I'm like, you know what? I think I kind of want a that's some word vomit. I think I kind of want a milkshake. My lovely wife always says, she's like, at the bottom of every milkshake? I was like, what? She's like, regret.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, you jerk.
She's not
you
wrong.
monster. Now I don't want it.
Dude,
she's totally right. And I'm just kind of like, oh, you ruined the milkshakes for me.
So, she's right. You know, that's the thing. I love food. I love food. I love hot food. I love cold food. I love food. It's one of my favorite things. And it's something where, like, I don't know, some people are like, oh, I like buying stuff. I like buying video games or new equipment or things. And I'm like, to me, if someone's like, hey Carver, I got you a brand new video game console, I'll be like, oh, thanks. It's really cool. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. But if, like, I remember Laura one time, like, completely caught me off guard by getting me a nice, wonderful dinner. And I was like, oh, from the bottom of my heart, I'm like, this makes my day. Like, to have I love food. And yeah, like milkshakes.
I can see where you're coming from, but I'm like, that's a very subjective argument.
We're talking about.
I mean,
I'm just sharing an opinion.
Yeah, you are sharing opinion. I guess that's why I'll let it stand. But I'm just kind of like, that's a stretch, though.
No, hold on. That's not even a pro point for Chick-fil-A or Dairy Queen. I'm just saying I like food.
Well, the way you're working into it, though, are you not going to make that a pro point for Chick-fil-A?
I'm going to say this about Chick-fil-A. All right,
here it is.
So I mean, okay, I'm going to just throw my haymaker right now. Okay, we've been saying it over and over. I'll just make it clear one more time for the things that have already been said. Chick-fil-A, super amazing quality with its customer service. They aim to please. It's very consistent across the board from location to location. You got some really good food. It's been standardized across Chick-fil-A's with their chicken sandwiches, their fries, really good milkshakes too. Like, it's not even like McDonald's or Wendy's where it's like, it's okay. You know, it's a decent dessert or it's okay. Chick-fil-A is like, no. We've got our peach and cream milkshake or our chocolate chip or strawberry. And you sip and you're like, oh, that's really creamy. That's really good. So they've got quite the lineup of desserts for themselves with their soft serve ice cream and ice cream cones, brownies, I believe. No, cookies, chocolate chip cookies. And like, yeah, I just think Chick-fil-A, like the thing you can push against it is saying it's a bit more expensive, rightfully so. You're paying for a better experience and better food. But then you got the catering, which is another weapon in the arsenal of Chick-fil-A. And then, of course, and this is the thing we haven't really brought up at all. I'll say it now. The Dwarf House is like Chick-fil-A on steroids, where it's like, okay, we're doing well. You know, like Chick-fil-A's they've got competition with other restaurants throwing down. But when you go to a Dwarf House, it's like, oh, this is when Chick-fil-A just almost like takes off their boxing gloves and go, let's really go. Like we got green beans, we got sweet potato casserole, we got biscuits, we got like legit entrees and meals that can compete with like Panera. Not even compete, blow Panera out of the water. A Dwarf House is like unreal. And I think a lot of non-Southerners, I mean, there's even Southerners who I've met who are like, what's a Dwarf House? And I'm like, oh, it's Chick-fil-A when they're not messing around anymore.
I mean, Dwarf House is if you're talking like Chick-fil-A's, Dwarf House is basically the top of the pyramid.
It is. You got like fried okra. You got like pie. They got pie there, dude. I think they even have burgers there. Yeah, they do.
Oh my gosh, crap! I think you're right.
Yeah, they do. Here, someone from Business Insight that shoots your burger argument here. Says the burger was much larger than we were expecting. The patty was thick and flavorful, and the cheese was melted perfectly between patty and the bun. Boom, sit down. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, we didn't actually have that burger, so come on.
So all I'm saying,
we had the Dairy Queen burger, and you said yourself that it was good.
Well, I'll tell you this. I feel like the Dwarf House is this. It's like Chick-fil-A going Super Saiyan, and it's like, well, you just lost. Like, you can't beat this. It's impossible.
I mean, all right, it's really freaking good. Chick-fil-A is delicious, but Dairy Queen has wonderful things of itself. I'm like,
food poisoning.
If you're thinking, okay, shut up. If you're thinking hot food, I get it. You're not necessarily going to Dairy Queen, but what do you think about when you think Dairy Queen? Insane desserts, like fantastic treats. Like so like you think
like what? The blizzards. That's it.
No. They've got brownies and cookies a la mode. They've got their ridiculously amazing cakes. They've got obviously blizzards. They've got your chocolate dipped soft serve cones. Not just chocolate ice cream. It's a soft serve vanilla ice cream that they dip in chocolate for you. They've got their dilly bars, that's soft serve ice cream dipped in chocolate. I'm like, they got hot fudge sundaes. They've got every variation of ice cream possible. I'll admit they don't have pie, but not all Chick-fil-A's have pie. That's just a Dwarf House thing.
I mean, that's fair. The Dwarf House is specialty.
I gotta say one other thing. Like, when you think of hot summer and how to beat that heat, you're gonna go to Dairy Queen.
No.
So I'm like, Dairy Queen helps you sum up a really good summer day.
No.
Like you've been swimming, you've been biking, you've been sweating, having a great time. Maybe you're just doing outside chores. Or you want to cool off with something? You cool off with some delicious Dairy Queen frozen goodness.
No, you're a liar. Because I remember working.
I am not a liar. Is that is not the right word?
Dude, I recall you're a deceiver. I recall
deceiver.
Working with you at the pools and in Town Lake, and I remember like during our high school days, we go to Chick-fil-A and there'd be lines wrapped around the building, get the workers working hard. Oh, here's a milkshake. Here's your sandwich to eat. A nice cold lemonade on a hot summer's day. You make it sound like it's only Dairy Queen that's exclusive to that like kind of mentality with going out to cool off with desserts. Yes, I will give Dairy Queen credit where it's got a pretty substantial arsenal with its desserts, but that's it.
It dominates. But it dominates desserts.
So desserts is. I'm
just saying.
I think a dessert is an afterthought compared to a meal. A meal's that's where it really comes in. I feel like Chick-fil-A has such a fantastic meal and a really good dessert to come along with it, versus Dairy Queen where it's like, oh, it's an okay meal. It's all fluff and no substance.
No, absolutely. You talk to my sweet tooth people out there like myself, you eat dinner planning on dessert.
You don't.
Yes, you do.
Us adults.
Sweet tooth. Sweet teeths. I'm a sweet teeth out there.
No, I mean, like, maybe if you're 8 years old, you're worrying about your dessert while eating good nutrients and a good meal. Like here, I'm taking a bite of a chicken sandwich, and I'm like, oh, it was a good meal. And then I'm like, dessert? Yeah, I know. I have to go file my taxes and be a productive member of society versus little children, adults who are like, oh my God, ice cream cone. I've been thinking about ice cream cones all day. That's you. That's you, Scott. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It's despicable.
Well, I mean, that's just what I do. I work in my yard at the house that I own, and I'm a red-blooded American who sweats and toils for his property and his family. And after I do amazing American things, I want a amazing American dessert. So I go to Dairy Queen and get myself a nice little blizzard as a reward for being so amazing.
Nah.
And taking care of my gorgeous wife and daughter.
Well, you know what? You want to know where the true hardworking Americans are going to? Chick-fil-A.
No, they're not.
All right, we've had to go. Now let's see eye to eye here. I will say that Dairy Queen has a Chick-fil-A beat on the dessert front, where they just that's their specialty, or desserts. But I feel like Chick-fil-A is just so good with their meals, their quality, and their desserts as well. Where it's like, if you're looking at a power chart, or like a chart of like who different categories to put like points into, I'd say Chick-fil-A's got Dairy Queen beat easily when it comes to hot meals and quality and customer service. Dairy Queen's got Chick-fil-A beat when it comes to price, but that doesn't necessarily makes it superior. And Dairy Queen has Chick-fil-A beat with desserts. But that being said, it's not like Chick-fil-A has nothing to offer for desserts. They got some really good desserts. I think I put Chick-fil-A in the top tier list with best desserts in the fast food industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, if I was selecting for desserts, and honestly, if I was selecting for really just specifically ice creamy desserts, like it would be I would probably put Chick-fil-A just under Dairy Queen. As far as like desserts, fast food place desserts go.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have more to make point of there, I offer you the floor again.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Nah, I stand in the camp of Chick-fil-A beating Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen, its desserts have carried it so far, and it's got okay food. But now it's like, we can't deny that like Dairy Queen, like you can only go so far without having like real meat in your meal. Like, not real meat. I'm sorry. I was gonna
slander.
Sorry, it's not real. It's horse meat. And I was gonna say it's like, okay, it's got a burger. It's all right. It's pretty good. Fries, absolutely not. It's like you can only go so far with having meh hot meals or okay hot meals until you run into something like Chick-fil-A, where it's like, no, we got you guys beat hard with hot meals, and we're also good with desserts. Not as good as you guys, but still really damn good. So what do you got? And Dairy Queen's like, nah, shoot, you win.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, in 100% honesty, I mean, this felt like a one-sided argument anyway. I love Chick-fil-A too much to truly say that I think Dairy Queen is actually better. I just needed to give my queen a fair fight, and I feel like I've exhausted what I have to offer the queen. She has given me and continues to give me delicious, wonderful treats. But if I am going for food, and I basically, and it wasn't my decision, and it's not like I wouldn't have decided it, but I'm like, having just had a mountain of chicken nuggets yesterday, that I was going to make the argument, but when you go to Dairy Queen, you go there for celebrations. Like, well, my brother-in-law celebrated with Chick-fil-A, so that kind of trumps my own argument there.
Were you eating it? How much of a hypocrite you are?
I mean, as I was arguing, I was like, God, I'm the worst.
The absolute worst.
I'm the worst. No, I love Chick-fil-A, and you make the point that you make that pretty much does win it is the fact that the only thing that would give Dairy Queen a better fighting chance is if Chick-fil-A's desserts were hot garbage. If they were subpar desserts, then you got pretty good, you got solid, good tasting hot food with incredible desserts, and then you have really incredible hot food with they're okay, but the problem is that Chick-fil-A desserts are actually very good. There's probably plenty of people out there who feel that Chick-fil-A desserts are better. I'm not one of them, but I still think Chick-fil-A desserts are great. Part of the catering was a tray of cookies, and their chocolate chip cookies, holy crap, they're really freaking good. So I'm just kind of I apologize to all my queeners out there.
Queeners, wow. More like wieners.
No, I apologize to my queeners out there. If you feel like I did not give it my best shot, I trust you me. I did give it my best shot. I'd love to hear if you guys had more that you could have bolstered my argument with, but I'm gonna have to tip my hat to Chick-fil-A and to Carver on this one.
Thank you. I am the greatest.
I can't argue much more than the fact that their desserts are fantastic, which obviously you have agreed with me that they are. But the gap between hot food and then desserts to desserts is not far enough. There's not a big enough gap between desserts from Dairy Queen and Chick-fil-A than it is and hot food from Chick-fil-A to Dairy Queen. It's just not like in the Harry Potter world of point values in the houses of Dairy Queen desserts, Dairy Queen hot food, Chick-fil-A desserts, Chick-fil-A hot food. It's like house hot food wins with Chick-fil-A, like with a bajillion points, and they're only just a little behind in the cold front. So there's nothing I can do there.
Well, any dissenting, or maybe dissenting is the wrong word to use, or any thoughts on like the chart that got us here, and just overall thoughts about the gauntlet and how things played out?
Honestly, I feel, I mean, since it was just you and I arguing, I feel pretty good about how everything played out. I thoroughly believe in how many times I stuck up for Dairy Queen, even when you tried desperately to take me down. I will say this much. Since we started doing this bracket, Lauren and I have both become much bigger Jersey Mike's fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like now, like especially with Lauren as well. Like, I still really love Firehouse. I mean, they're right around the corner, so it helps with the location. But we just found out that if we drive maybe a mile further, there's a Jersey Mike's just down the road from us. And now she's like, yeah, now she's just kind of like, yeah, oh yeah, you want to do sandwiches for a night? It's like, yeah, you want Firehouse? She's like, isn't there Jersey Mike's just a little further? And I was like, yes, we can go to Jersey Mike's.
There you go. Yeah, that's the biggest victory to walk away from.
Yeah, seriously, like we're actually much larger fans of Jersey Mike's now, and I didn't even dislike them before, but now it's just kind of like when I weigh the options, I'm like, I actually would. Now we're like, let's drive that extra like half mile to Jersey Mike's versus Firehouse, even though it's great. She has like, because I decide most of my food options based off of my wife. If she wants Jersey Mike's, that's where we're gonna go.
Well, I feel like even if I lost with the Dairy Queen versus Chick-fil-A, that I truly won a victory, at least with Jersey Mike's, which is what matters the most to me.
Yeah, but I will say the only thing is that like your Jersey Mike's experience is phenomenally better than the ones that I've had thus far. And I've been to two different ones now, the one that's closer to home and the one that I thought was the closest to me. And like neither experiences have been bad. Actually, second that the food was consistently good. The customer service at the Jersey Mike's closest to me now, the one we recently discovered, not great.
Huh.
Like,
that's a shame.
Not great. The guy that was talking to me specifically, like there was like I guess he was like just the, whatever you call him, just your standard employee, just making the food, talking to the customer. And then there's like, I guess the day manager person. Like neither of them were aggressively nice. Like they didn't really go above and beyond when I was welcomed.
Aggressively
and
nice.
Like,
I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a fantastic day.
Yeah, but like the guy I talked to specifically, like he literally, like, as he would ask me, not like as he was asking me like what I wanted on the sandwich or like what sandwich I wanted, it was very much kind of like, you are such an inconvenience to me. What do you want? I'm like, oh jeez, buddy. I'm like,
wow.
I know I'm not saying that I'm the one keeping you open, but I'm like, you don't need to give me that like leave me alone attitude. I'm like, I walked in here to give you my money so I could bring home some dinner when I got home from work really late. I'm like, you can leave that attitude at the door when you walk into Jersey Mike's.
Agreed.
I'm like, and the manager girl didn't even say anything about it. Like, she was just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. They just gave me really whatever experience. And I'm just kind of like, oh shoot, like, and I got the Jersey Mike's app because like, if we're going to Jersey Mike's enough, I'll get the app, maybe get some points. And I was like, oh shoot, you know what? Did I need to scan this app before I paid? And they didn't even ask me. It's like, oh, do you have the app before we pay? They just like paid me out. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't get to scan my app. He's like, well, it's too late. I'm like, oh. And then she's like, oh, well, the app will open up and it'll ask you if you missed something. And so I stayed on the app for like 50 minutes trying to find this moment when it says like, oh, did you just buy something and didn't get to scan? Here's the barcode. It like never popped up. So they basically just kind of like, thanks for your money. You get nothing in return other than what you paid for. Like, they didn't help me out at all with that. I'm like, geez, guys.
What a damn shame. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm like, they're not giving me specialized meat treatment for my dog, even though I don't have one. So I'm like, you have the ultimate Jersey Mike's.
Elevated by effort from the folks who run.
Yeah, I'm like, I've got the team that like doesn't give a crap that you walked in.
Well, overall, that is the gauntlet. That's
it. That's the whole bracket. So number 1 seat goes to Chick-Fil-A. That's right. That's it.
Chick-fil-A takes it. There are some options on this list that just kind of got shot down immediately. Like, I feel like, what was it? Churches never really had much of a chance.
No, they really didn't. I'm looking at the bracket that you posted up for us here. Del Taco, didn't I carry them to at least a second round seat? No,
you did. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the red and I forgot there's the white. So there's things like McDonald's got knocked out. Jimmy John's got knocked out.
Papa John's got knocked out by Del Taco because Papa John's is like the worst pizza.
Then there's what else here? Panda Express didn't really go that far, which is kind of a shame. Nope. I thought Panda was pretty good. In-N-Out getting knocked out by Wendy's. I'm sure that's going to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, that probably will. And I bet there might be a few people who would argue that Little Caesars should not have won out over Quiznos. But I hate Quiznos.
Quiznos barely even exist anymore, so there's a reason why. Well, folks, that is it for our food gauntlet. What a long saga it has been. And we'll be back here with a new era of content with like moving things along with other versus competitions and discussions. So
yes, absolutely.
I don't think we ever anticipated this to go as hard as we did with this and to get it as big as it became.
Yeah, I think this is 4 episodes?
I think it might be 5 actually.
Really? Wow.
I'll have to like edit things together and see how much it equates to.
Yeah. So, sorry, go ahead.
Or at least I think 5 sessions.
Yeah, we may be combining different recording sessions into a single one. I don't remember, but I think at least there's going to be an episode, like almost its own episode per round, essentially. Maybe even 2 for one particular round. I can't remember if it was one of them. Either way, it's like you guys got like I hope you enjoyed this because it was a lot of just effort went into this one. So I hope you guys had fun for sure.
Agreed.
Because we definitely did.
This was, again, I don't think we expected this one to get as big as it did. So we hope you all like it. And
yes, absolutely. Let us know where you feel we messed up. I always want to know that, especially. Like I kind of love being told when I'm wrong, which obviously in this particular podcast happens frequently. But like I want to know because I'm always up for learning. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Tell us both what you guys think. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Anything you want to say before we peace out?
Yeah. Should we at least plug our email so you guys can actually reach out to us?
No, not email.
Yet?
I think we should there should be comments that people can hit up on. We'll do a Twitter account, so you can hit us up on Twitter.
Okay, yeah, we'll get you. Okay, we'll be adding in all of our social medias soon enough as we continue to get them going. You guys will probably start seeing the social media pop up before we even get to this part anyway. So
most likely,
yes. Add your comments into all of our medias that we'll be socializing with.
They'll be probably by now. By the time this goes live, like Scott said here, the social media will exist and they'll be in the description. So you can just click on the link and go to our Twitter and share your thoughts.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. All right, guys. We'll see you all next time.
Yes, we'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you for listening in.